The Team Lally Show was previously recorded.
It's time to enter the world of real estate in Oahu with Hawaii's only true real estate radio show, the Team Lally Real Estate Show. Grab a pen and get ready to take notes. For the next full hour, Hawaii's premier real estate leader, Adrienne Lally, and Attilio Leonardi will bring you the latest in real estate news and real-world strategies on how they can guarantee to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or they'll buy it. Now, here are your hosts, Adrienne and Attilio.
Welcome to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. If you have any questions, you can give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
All right, so let's talk about our thinking and what, so there's three parts to your mind. What are they, Adrienne? What did we learn in PSI? By the way, the front part of our show, first part of our show is always going to be the PSI. PSI is what?
Well, it's the Personal Success Institute, but usually I thought it was the art. Attilio's random thoughts.
Well, within the art part of the first part of the show, which is Attilio's random thoughts, we're going to always be coming to you. Here's the theme of it. These are nuggets or pearls of wisdom that we can share with you. Mm-hmm. Don't really cost anything, or you got to go anywhere. Just you hear the wisdom, execute it in your life, and hopefully it'll make you a better version, personally and business wise. So here's one of them. You know, a lot of times we have purpose and then we move, right? And then we have purpose and then we move. That's basically how people go through life, right? You get up, you have an idea of what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And do you just sit in bed all day long thinking about what you're going to do?
No. I mean, some people could.
Then you got to move.
Yeah, you got to move.
Then you got to move, and then you figure out what your purpose is. So this is how we live our lives. This is what we're going to do to change it is you got to take a look at what is it in your subconscious mind? What is it in your subconscious mind that's running all the time? What do you think it is for most people? It's programs, but what is most people's programs? And here's an indication, here's a hint. What is on every day at 5:30, 6 o'clock, 10:30?
The news.
And then if you go to CNN, it's 24 hours.
It's the news.
And then is it all like super positive?
Usually not.
Fulfilling,
usually it's
awesome things that human beings are doing in the world?
No, usually that's negativity. And same thing too, like on social media, it can be kind of sprinkled through, depending on who you follow and the kind of postings that people are putting up.
Yeah. So here's what you got to think about. There's an underlying programming that's running in your conscious, subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And what is it most likely, Adrienne? Like, what is in your conscious, subconscious mind right now?
Well,
maybe it's a radio show?
Yes.
It should be a radio show.
Real estate.
Yeah.
What we're going to talk about for the next hour. Yeah.
And so it's very simple in that you got to pay attention to what that subconscious brain is. So what's a way that we create that we can make adjustments to that programming? What are some techniques?
So if you get into gratitude and think about, 3 things that you're grateful for.
So verbalizing it?
Yes, you can shift your, just the way that you're thinking.
Yeah.
Just because I think what you were getting at is that because of just everything that we're surrounded by, it's very easy to slip into the negative programming as opposed to being optimistic and positive.
So let me run you through the list. Mm-hmm. Get rid of negative people that are hanging out in you, that are around you or within contact. If they're negative, I'm so sorry, folks. This may be even somebody you're married to. This may be somebody that you're related to. Mm-hmm. Now, with the deeper connections of somebody you're married to, I would tell you that you guys got to go and seek third party help to get you going with that. And if it's your kids, you got to go work on it. You're not going to get rid of your kids because they're negative. By the way, speaking of somebody that's positive and should be in your life, if you're an investor owning real estate here on Oahu, who would that be?
That would be Duke Kimhan of Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Hey, Duke, what's the good news?
Good news. There's all kinds of good news. But apparently that Bill 7 law that the governor passed to try and initiate more affordable housing is working.
Oh,
Yay.
Nice.
That's great news.
A lot of these developers are getting pricing on property management for their homes that are probably looking to be completed about June or July of this year.
Nice.
Probably about, close to 20 projects.
20 projects. And these are the ones where, what
I think it was like streamlined permits.
They were streamlining the permitting process. Didn't they allow less parking? Less parking?
Yeah, less parking and a waiver on property taxes for the first 5 or 7 years.
Awesome.
Wow. That's great incentives.
Yeah.
That's
But
awesome news.
The building has to be
certain zoning.
40% or more affordable housing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
interesting.
Yeah, I think the people that they were targeting is like, you ever drive through like a busy Honolulu, Kakako, whatever, Kamuki, and then you see this huge lot with one fence around it, and it's not even parking; it's just empty. And that's what they're looking for. And then what happens is, if you're an owner of those things, give us a call, because two components. We put you in touch with the general contractors we know. And Duke, are you running crossing paths with general contractors that have this Bill 7 experience?
Most of them are developers, right?
Yeah.
So by the time they get the building up and the drawings all approved and they broke ground on it and they have a completion date, these are guys who put the money up.
Yeah.
I really doubt that any of them did the building themselves.
Yeah.
So just in the last 2 weeks, we had about 3 buildings contact us.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
Because you guys are the income part of it.
So Hawaii Pacific Property Management is available to manage entire
your Bill 7 property
apartment complexes.
Yeah. Small commercial centers we do also.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on right now, which is really kind of exciting.
Yeah. You guys also do, you guys manage properties that are what I call the mullet.
The mullet?
Yeah. Down below is all business, but up top is all residential.
Yeah, that's a mess. And that usually is in Kapolei right now. There's a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a commercial component. And Duke, what is the key to having, if you have an apartment complex? Because we're actually, what's one like that? We just saw it last night. The Kalakawan. It's that
in Waikiki.
In Waikiki, on the right-hand side is everybody going in Waikiki, and then local people were all stressing out because we can't find parking. But and you're like, I wonder what's going on. But that's what they got. They got a 7-Eleven attached to it.
And some other stores. There's a couple other stores and a restaurant.
Yeah, 3 other stores on the front-facing side, Kalakaua, and those are all offsetting the maintenance of the building. Yeah, keeping the AOAO, the maintenance fees lower. So that's kind of the benefit. But you need somebody to manage the residential aspect of it. That one is all fee simple, so maybe you're going to have onesie, twosies and stuff, not the whole unit. But so if there's people out there, you got a Bill 7 project, and now you're at the stage where you got to go fill them up and have it managed, they should call you?
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are telling me up front that they just want to get the building full so they can flip it.
That's it. That's it. So they built them.
Build another building or 2 buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're hearing a lot of that too of the people that we interact, is that they're just putting it together. Like here's the components. You got the owner, whatever, the Chang family, they own this for like 10 generations. Nobody knows what to do with it, and they don't have the money or the know-how. You got the investor, they bring in the developer, and then the final component is you guys, and then they put it all up for sale with the commercial real estate company, sell it to another group of investors, because the investors, they're looking for is like no headaches, right? And so you guys are like... You guys are like the Tylenol, right? No headaches. Right. Talk about
that way. They just get the income 99 at the end of the year.
Yeah, and then real quick, Duke, before we let you go, tell them what do you guys do to create the turnkey? What are the components?
Well, there's a lot of things. You got to do weekly inspections on a building like that, because people are moving in, and they have to be approved through the Bill 7 process, which already retrofits the people that are in the other low-income programs, which is good because they have the paperwork all ready to go. Mm-hmm. But what they want is to just hit the 40% benchmark and then put the rest of the building up for marketable rent. Yeah. And so because they have limited parking, it's hard because you're not giving the Bill 7 people parking spaces because they're not the ones paying the higher rents.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's
a challenge.
going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I know right now that Section 8 is really struggling to find
properties.
Enough housing.
Yeah.
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 Everybody's raising the rents because all the HOAs are going up, the rents are going up.
The insurance.
And
yeah.
Yep. Everybody can't keep up with the raising rents because of the buildings and the insurance and the taxes and everything they got to cover.
Gotcha. Well, you guys will figure out a way because it's filling the infill. Because it's not going to work in Makaha. It's not going to work at North Shore. You got to have public transportation. You got to have jobs. These people are not going to be riding their moped from North Shore to go work at the Waikiki Sheraton.
I haven't spoken to any developer that's doing anything, even in Kapolei.
Yeah,
not one Kapolei developer or West Side. These are all town locations.
The urban core. Yeah,
Moilili, Macaulay, Kaimaki.
Yeah,
it's down. It's town.
Yeah. Because that's where the jobs are, public transportation. People don't necessarily need a car.
Is. Yeah.
And so it's doing the infill, and then the good news is not turning it into like super expensive short-term vacation rentals, which everybody's getting all upset about. But that's it.
Yeah. I had a guy ask me if I'd do it for 4%. I said, no, I'm sorry.
We want.
No, thank you.
It's more challenging, and we want to get paid less. When does that formula ever work? Never.
I know.
So
I mean, he was really tough. I told him the lowest I could go is 7.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, I can't do it. And I said, well, what are you looking for? He goes, 4%. I said, good luck.
Good luck with that. More work and cheaper property management. I don't know anywhere in the business world where that works. So, okay, real quick, you folks out there, if you want good quality income and no vacancies and something that's managed well and protected investment, go see Duke. If you want something that's not going to be managed well, you're going to have vacancies, a lot of turnover, problems with the property, go see the 4% people.
If they even exist.
Yeah,
if they even exist.
Yeah. There's a commercial property management company from the mainland doing business here on properties 60 plus that are doing it for 4%.
Good luck with that.
And
they're going to learn.
Yeah, we went to the property to possibly take it and do a bid on it.
Yeah.
And it was in bad shape.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is what you get for 4%. Woo!
Yeah, that's why they have the bumper sticker. This is not the mainland. But anyway, Duke, thank you so much. And we highly recommend Duke for your investment properties, your Bill 7 properties, small apartments, complexes, everything, yeah? Long-term only, though, yeah?
That's right.
Long-term.
Long-term.
Correct.
Thanks, Duke.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Duke. Hey, don't take our word for it that Duke and his team is awesome. How can they validate that independent of us?
So they have a ton, actually hundreds of reviews.
Yep.
So go check them out on, just Google them, Hawaii Pacific Property Management. You can also go to teamlally.com on our resource tab, and you can see all the experts we trust. And we've got a bunch of videos of Duke on there as well.
Helpful tips for investors as well as property managers. By the way, speaking of someone that is an expert in the components of buying a home, selling a home, condo, all of that, and it's always going to be there with you forever. It's insurance. We have
Bradley Maruyama of Allstate Insurance.
Yeah. All right, Bradley.
Hey, how's it going?
Always great.
My tip of the week will be making sure you understand what's covered under your homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
And even if I do all these reviews, I had a 20-year client call me to make sure that he has building codes coverage, economic demand surge coverage, and rent loss insurance. So let's go over the three of those.
Unpack those for us. Those are some big words. I don't know if those are like $1.50 words. There wasn't even 50-cent words. Go over those words for us again. Yeah.
So building codes coverage. This comes on the Allstate home policy. But what that is he has an older home intent list built in the 1950s.
Okay.
So if this house were to burn and everything is not up to code, maybe knob and tube or single wall construction.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure that if his house burnt down to the ground, can he rebuild that same structure?
To
so
code.
That's building codes coverage.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, while we were going over that with a fire, I also told him, well, make sure we have this on your hurricane policy because that's an extra endorsement that needs to be added. So we added the building codes to his hurricane.
Yeah.
So building codes is if, like in the 1960s, single wall construction was pretty common. Now everything is double wall. Double wall construction is much more. So do you have the building codes?
Yeah. So if your house with a Koenig roof, Koenig ceiling going to burn down, you're not going to go find one Koenig manufacturer that don't exist and then go put Koenig back in your house. We're going to bring it back up to code.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Not that Koenig ceilings are not code, but they're old school. The point being is that you're going to put it back to modern materials, construction, to code.
To code, yep.
Yeah.
So another common one would be knob and tube electricity to an updated 3-prong with a breaker box.
Yeah.
Right, a little bit more costly to replace the coded electrical setups.
Yeah.
The second one would be economic demand surge. So if there is mass fires or mass hurricane that hits our islands, like what we're seeing now, I talked to a couple of contractors. They can already see the construction costs increasing because the supply is going to California.
Yeah.
So when there's a mass destruction hurricane or mass fire, the cost of construction goes up. So he wanted to make sure that his hurricane coverage more so had what's called economic demand surge. So the surge of prices going up when there's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
So he didn't have that. So it was good that he called and said, hey, can you make sure that if there is mass damage from a fire or hurricane that I have coverage? So we added that up.
Nice. Yeah.
The last?
Yeah.
Bradley, with these like little extra riders that you're adding, I mean, how much extra is it costing to just add these little
on an annual
these
basis
extra protections?
Yeah.
So that's a loaded question for me, but because it all depends. For the hurricane portion, it all depends if you're double wall, masonry, or single wall, and how recent it was built.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a different calculation that the underwriters put in based on those 4 major things. Now, for the homeowners, a lot of those things are factored into your homeowner's policy rate.
Yes.
This would be more of a significant cost for the hurricane. Now, on a 2010 built, double wall constructed home at Kapolei, maybe $140 more per year. In this person's case, it was a 1957 built home, little older, single wall construction. So his premiums jumped up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, and that makes
more like
that
1800.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the age of the home.
The age and the construction of the home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
now the last one.
Yeah, the third
rent
one.
Loss insurance.
Rent loss.
Oh, the third one. Yeah. Rent loss insurance. So most policies on your fire will include this, but there are a few carriers that will only do a percentage of your dwelling. So if your dwelling was $500,000, they may only do $50,000. Okay, so you have to take a look at that. Number one, on your hurricane coverage, it's a la carte, meaning you as a insured or your agent needs to go over how much rent loss insurance you have.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you, a lot of condos and townhomes, because it's not mandatory to get hurricane with your loan, 90% of the condos and townhomes are not insured for hurricane for the rent loss and for the contents.
Yeah.
So very, very good, and that could run you $150 to $210 a year. So it's very affordable to get some rent loss insurance on your property if there's a townhome.
So the rent
or even a rental dwelling.
The rent loss is only for investment properties, not the owner occupied. Or what if you only have like a portion? If you have if you're renting, an Ohana unit or something.
What you were saying, Bradley?
So I don't confuse there's rent loss insurance is also known as additional living expense. So
okay.
So let's just say you live in a property. Okay, and now your roof is compromised and your bedroom is covered in water, and so is your kitchen. You're probably going to want to stay somewhere for 5 or 6 months while they remediate the water and rebuild. So it could cover, if it's owner occupied, it could cover additional living expense, or if it's a rental, it'll reimburse your rental cost.
So either one.
So it doesn't matter if it's owner occupied or is an investment. It just covers you regardless.
But I'll tell you, so many people don't take this coverage. So that's why I really wanted to do a segment on how important it is, especially if it's a rental, right? The hurricane hits and now you can't rent the property for 6 months. You're going to say, oh, why isn't Allstate or Liberty Mutual or XYZ company not covering me? FEMA's not going to cover this. I'm out of pocket. How come? Right? So I wanted to give this educational piece out there. So important to have rent loss insurance.
All right. So rent loss, if you're an owner, if you live in the home, you are owner occupied, you're the owner.
Yes.
And you have rent loss and your place burns down. If you have this rider in place, you're going to pay for, now they're not going to be staying at the Four Seasons, but they're not going to stay at Motel 6, right? No. It's going to be something reasonable.
They'll give a stipend, it sounds like.
Right, Bradley?
Yeah, you get a stipend for food. Pet lodging. And a cost of a hotel.
Okay. What if you're staying on your auntie's couch? Can auntie charge or no?
They're going to get a stipend.
They're going to get a stipend.
That's how it works.
So typically, let's just say they will ask for some type of receipt or contract.
Gotcha.
Now, if it's a legitimate contract, because I know I can't speak for all. I did hear some stories that if you could furnish that you were being charged to stay at a relative. And there was some type of documentation, there could possibly be some reimbursement.
Okay. Yeah, because
at the very minimum, at least some food stipend, right?
Yeah, because especially you got like 3 teenagers or whatever, and you're going over to your auntie's house, you're eating her out of house and home, and then going to affect our relationship. And so, if you can get the reimbursement for the food, you're keeping families together for the holidays
with the rent loss insurance.
With the rent loss insurance, stipend for food.
And here's a common question that comes up. So, Brad, if there's a partial fire in my kitchen and it's in my rental, what is the claims process? So the claims adjuster would ask XYZ owner, what do you have a copy of the rental agreement? And if so, submit it, and that's what they go based off, the most recent rental agreement. So if you're charging $2,500 per month and it's unrentable for 2 months, they would get $5,000.
All right, so this is going out to all you Furbos. Furbo is not the latest toy that's going to be going through the roof and super popular during Christmas. That was a Furby. What I'm talking about is the Furbo for rent by owner. If you're doing this all cash underneath the table, no written agreements, blah, 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 and all of that, should something happen, you might be SOL.
Now, if it's in a short-term rental pool, you may want more coverage than just the long-term rental, right? So if you're getting $5,000 or $6,000 a month at Island Colony, then you probably want to bump up that rent loss insurance with that policy.
Now, I'm thinking if it's an illegal short-term rental, is the insurance company going to cover it? I don't think so, but I don't want to make any assumptions.
So any type of illegal activity is always
not covered. Yeah, it's like, I'm going to rob banks, but in case I get hurt, I'm going to get some, workman's comp. Oh, yeah, collecting workman's comp. I went rob one bank, and when I came out, I went trip and bust my teeth out. And so, collecting workman's... No, it doesn't work.
The best thing to do is to call Bradley, let him review your situation, and advise you on the best options to make sure that you're completely covered. Yeah,
and then, Bradley, for the plain English interpretation for people to know, here's a basic number. Don't quote me on it. But I'm very confident with what I'm about to tell you is that I owned a vacation rental personally, legal, for 10 years in Waikiki. And here's typically how the numbers work. On your long-term rental, your rate is going to be X amount of dollars on your vacation rental, it's a 3X. So let's say you got a studio for long-term, $1,000 a month. On the short-term side, if you 3X that, you should be making about $3,000 a month in short-term rental. Does that formula work all the way across the border to every single situation and every exception? No, but I would say 80-90% that formula is going to work. So anyway, that's it. Thanks, Bradley. Any last things before we let you go?
No, that's it for this week. I'll think of some good stuff for next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Bradley.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Brad with Allstate. He's an expert we trust. You can go to the resource tab on our website and find out more about all the experts that we trust.
Okay, what you got? Deal of the week?
I want to read a review from Tisha Metler.
Review. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so my husband and I had a wonderful experience with Olivia at Team Lally. Great communication throughout the whole process, and she was always quick to respond with any questions we had. We love our new home. Thank you, Team Lally and Olivia. Good job.
What I think? I think Sheen should take that video clip and add it to Olivia's team site that's on our website. I think that would be great.
All right, and before we take a break, let's go over our deal of the week.
Okay.
This one is in Ocean Point.
It's a stunner in Eva Beach, 91-1055 Kai Moana Street.
It's a prime location situated in a private cul-de-sac with no traffic through, and there's no neighbors directly behind either.
Unobstructed park and Diamond Head views. Enjoy lush green scenery from your lanai while sipping your morning coffee with peekaboo ocean views upstairs.
It's energy efficient. There's 19 owned solar panels with the net metering.
With the net metering.
Yes, and it has a flexible and spacious layout.
Flexible and spacious layout. Is that what you just said?
That's what I just said.
It's a 2-story entryway. It leads to a bright open floor plan. Perfect for entertaining or creating your ideal work from home space.
And there is some fresh new updates with paint, flooring, landscaping it. And it was move-in ready.
Is this also true? Ample parking, a detached 2-car garage with a garage refrigerator. You know what that's for? Costco. Tons of guest parking.
And very low HOA fees. And convenience at your doorstep. It's right next to top-rated schools, shopping, and the new rail.
And get ready for this. Listed at $1,150,000. And that's our deal of the week in
Ocean Point, Eva Beach. All right. We are going to take a break.
Yeah.
But stay with us. When we come back, we'll be talking with Kyle Shimoda of Impact Wealth Solutions. He'll share insights on wealth building strategies, including how a Delaware Statutory Trust
DST
can be used in a 1031 exchange to help investors save on taxes and grow their investments.
So stay with us.
How would you touch up your home if you had an extra $10,000? Would you paint, fix the lawn, make small repairs? All of the above will increase the value of your home if you're planning on selling. That's exactly why my friends Adrienne, Lally, and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, Honolulu, offered a 10K program. Carl didn't hesitate to take advantage of this advance to fix up his Makakilo investment property. And good thing, the repairs he made with the extra money put the home in escrow just 2 weeks later. Team Lally uses programs like the Team Lally 10K to guarantee your home sells at the price and a deadline you agree to, or they'll buy it. They also know that life happens, so if needed, they'll let you out of the contract at any time. So when you need to sell your home for the most money with the least amount of drama, trust Adrienne and Attilio of Team Lally to do the job for you. Call 808-799-9596. That's 808-799-9596. Visit teamlally.com. Spelled Lally, Lally.
Taking one cash offer for your home doesn't have to be your only option. I'm Barbara Corcoran, and especially in today's current market, having a local real estate agent who offers great marketing and options that are customized to fit your needs is smart. In Honolulu, the agents I trust are Adrienne, Lally, and Attilio Leonardi. They can give you a guarantee to sell your home, flexible fees, or up to $10,000 in cash to help with repairs. Get the option that's right for you. Go to teamlally.com.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate team in your market that I recommend, Adrienne Lally and Attilio Leonardi of Team Lally Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, Honolulu. Now, thanks for joining me today. And what do you tell someone that wants to rent a home instead of selling it?
That's a fabulous idea, Sean. And here's why. 90% of the wealth in this country was built through real estate. When we sit down with our clients, we are always asking what most realtors don't ask. Have you thought about keeping your home and renting it out?
That's right, Adrienne. We have an expert we trust who has hundreds of 5-star reviews and works with over 1,000 plus property owners to protect their Hawaii real estate. They do no sales, only one thing, property management.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Put the most experience and the best marketing to work for you. Call Team Lally now at 799-9596 or online at teamlally.com. That's teamlally.com.
Welcome back, and thanks for listening to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program, or we'll buy it. I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Attilio.
And if you have any questions, just give us a call at 799-9596 or check us out online at teamlally.com.
Today's guest was born on Oahu, grew up on Kauai. He graduated from Kauai High, studied marketing and finance at the University of Hawaii, earned a culinary arts certificate from Kapilani Community College, and in 1999, he moved back to Oahu and built his career in finance.
As a wealth advisor at Impact Wealth Solutions, he's dedicated to helping clients reach financial goals and values the supportive culture at Impact. He loves traveling and exploring cuisines with his family. Please welcome back today's guest, Kyle Shimoda.
Hey, Kyle, what you got for us? Or actually, we have a whole bunch of stuff for you.
We've got a lot of questions here.
Yeah, so we get a lot of questions. So let's get straight to it. First question, you ready?
Sure.
What is a DST? This is like we're going Jeopardy style. We're going Jeopardy style. What is a DST?
A DST, well, it could be many things, but what I deal with and specialize in is the Delaware Statutory Trusts, that DST. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the ways I met Adrienne was through a DST many years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, we met through, initially it was through PSI, and in the beginning of the show, we talked a little bit about the PSI, the basic, and I just felt like I had this major problem in my life, and I was not going to be able to solve it. And thankfully I met your wonderful wife, Lori, and she connected us. She said, my husband can solve this problem.
Yeah. So, Kyle, why don't you refresh our memories? Because this answers the next question. Who is a DST for? Maybe you can use, Adrienne would be a great live testimonial
example
of why this worked for her. Why did it work for her, Kyle?
Yeah, I think when, maybe Adrienne can share more about, the why and the personal reasons being behind it. Yet, typically a DST is for someone that is selling a property, normally highly appreciated, and the goal is to defer capital gains tax through a 1031 exchange.
Okay.
And a DST qualifies as like-kind replacement property. So you can sell a property, like a single-family home or apartment, and go into another single-family home or apartment. Or you can look into DST, which allows you to be a fractional owner in a commercial, institutional-grade property, and then it becomes a passive investment versus one where you may have to be actively involved.
Yeah. I think this would be a great part for Adrienne to dovetail with her personal story. Go ahead.
The reason why it was so attractive to me is I had, at that point, I had very bad credit. Had just gone through a bad divorce, and I couldn't qualify for a loan to do the 1031 exchange. And so I just thought, I'm going to have to sell this property and just take a big, huge hit on taxes. I think I was looking at about $40,000 in taxes because of all the depreciation I had taken over 20 years of owning this property. And I was not happy about it. And when I found out that with doing this DST, it would still satisfy the requirement to have financing, because you got to replace the financing. Yeah. But it was a non-recourse loan, and I didn't have to qualify for it. So that was the solution I was looking for. And I was so happy that, I met Lori and then Kyle. And I mean, still to this day, I still have that DST, and the money just keeps showing up in my account every month. I do nothing. I'm just happy that it shows up.
Yeah, you sold the condo, did a 1031 exchange, bought into a DST, which was storage units over a multi-state area, and then you received the growth, and you received the income of investing in real estate without the headaches of the direct ownership.
Yes, and
or management.
And I I always had a really great tenant in this little condo that I owned in Florida. Yeah, and I made like a decent amount of passive income. Yeah, but it the tenant in place and having to do the updates or the vacancies.
Refrigerators blow up.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with. And the other thing is that I'm making a higher net return with being involved in this DST.
Sounds like more money, less headaches. So,
exactly. More money, less headaches. I love it.
Kyle, talk more about the assets that DSTs are invested in. Maybe mention some brands or businesses that people would recognize.
Yeah, so the type of assets that would be in a DST would be office space, self-storage, as Adrienne mentioned.
Yeah.
There's student housing, life sciences. What else do we have? There's hospitality as well. And some of the brands could be well-known, like Walmart. Many of the Walmarts used to be in DSTs.
Yeah.
Many Amazon distribution centers are inside of DSTs, and they're owned by people like you and I.
Yes.
They have to be accredited, though. They have to be accredited investors because there are minimums, and there are some very specific risks. But typically, many people that own investment property will normally qualify as an accredited investor.
Yeah,
but, you should talk to a financial advisor or a CPA to confirm.
I think that, specifically here in Hawaii, because of our price points.
Yeah.
That's how, and then tell us what are those minimum requirements to be considered an accredited investor, Kyle?
Yeah. But an accredited investor is someone that has $1 million or more of net worth, excluding their primary residence.
Yeah.
Or a single individual earning $200,000 or more in income, or a married couple earning $300,000 or more.
$300,000.
So, yeah, as you mentioned, if you own one investment property worth $1 million, that's not even counting for, you could include your IRAs, your investment account, your bank account. Yet just your one property could qualify you as an accredited investor.
Yep. So, and with our price points, it's not too hard to get to there. What's the minimum investment required for a DST?
If you're doing a 1031 exchange, it's $100,000. So you're selling an investment property, you'd have to exchange at least $100,000. Yet people that want to just deposit cash, they could do as low as $25,000.
Okay. And then let's talk about the boot. I know that when we do that 1031 exchange, sometimes that property that you're exchanging or properties don't exactly equal or are greater to the property that's being sold. Can you explain the boot and maybe that strategy that sometimes is used with DST?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the boot, another way to look at it is the difference between what you're selling and what you're buying. So if you were to sell, let's call it a $200,000 property, and you find another property for $150,000, you're short $50,000, and you have to pay taxes on that boot or that difference, right? The other way boot comes into play is, let's say you have that $200,000 property that has a $50,000 mortgage on it. So you sell it, you net $150,000, and you need to replace $200,000 in your next property. That's where the boot also comes into play. So you'd have to normally either A, come out of pocket that boot, that $50,000, or go get another mortgage, so qualify for another $50,000, or in certain Delaware Statutory Trusts that have debt attached to it, you can participate in the DST sponsor's debt and thereby satisfying that boot without having to qualify for it.
By the way, do you know where the term boot came from? Besides stuff you wear on your feet.
Where, Attilio?
Old English meaning of boot, which refers to something given in addition to when making an exchange to equalize the value. That's why it's called a boot. So, anyway, because...
And I want to also touch on this whole 1031 exchange. I know that I don't think it's on our list of questions, but we do talk about having a just a foolproof way of making sure your 1031 exchange does not fail.
Yeah.
And let's just touch on that because, it can be kind of stressful. You're selling your investment property and there's all these rules about identifying and then closing, and maybe you don't find the right home or the right condo or investment. and then you're stuck with a couple of days left. So how does the
It's good that you explained it for Kyle to explain it.
But how does the DST come into place, Kyle?
Yeah. So Adrienne, what you're talking about is when you're looking to do a 1031 exchange, you sell an investment property, the IRS gives you 45 days to identify an address or addresses and 180 days to close.
Yes.
Yet in a tight market, or maybe you're looking for a specific type of placement property, it might be hard to even get property access 45 days. And so a Delaware Statutory Trust, we typically always have them in inventory. And so as long as the person can qualify as an accredited, and then we have them in inventory, someone could call me on the 45th day. I don't recommend that, but we had that happen in the past, and we're able to identify a property with an address, and then they can put that down on their identification form, and then we can close easily within 180 days. Typically, we can close in 5 to 10 business days.
Yeah.
So with this identification period, so maybe you're under contract and you decide, okay, this is not a good investment for me. Like you want to have backup plans.
Well,
so having the DST as a backup
is a good plan to have, because here's what we do know: when you're selling a piece of property and then buying something close to each other at the same time, that's like doing something that has a lot of moving parts and then doing it twice all at the same time. So, Kyle, if correct me if I'm wrong, there's 3 numbers you want to remember: 3, 45, and 180. 3, 45, and 180. You got to identify 3 like-kind properties within 45 days, and then you got to get the transaction done
in 180.
In 180 days. 3, 45, 180. That's also my PIN code for my ATM card.
All right. So it's a good standard of practice to one of those 3 properties to have a DST just in case, so that you're not stuck.
Writing one big check to Uncle Sam. Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle, how does a DST differ from owning real estate properties? What's the big differences? So
single-family home versus owning a like-kind commercial property in DST.
Well, a couple of differences. You're going from maybe owning, that single-family home with one tenant to, like in Adrienne's case, she's a fractional owner, and there's 21 buildings across 4 different states, and there's over 10,000 units.
Wow.
Right? So it's 1,000 tenants.
That's diversification.
Yeah. So, if there's a natural disaster, right, in one state, it does affect the portfolio, yet not like it might affect your one property in Hawaii. If your one tenant leaves in your one property, you're 100% vacant versus, if 1,000 people left Adrienne's units, it might affect the income, not by much though. And then, just having the, different markets, different asset classes, appreciation may differ. And, I would say some of the other things, big differences is when you own your property in Hawaii, you can control what tenants in there. If you kick them out, if you sell the property, if you're going to paint it, you have way more control versus in a DST, it's completely passive. So DSTs are not for everyone. It's not for people that like the active management. They're looking to maybe flip or move, and they like to maintain control. DST is a completely passive investment.
Yeah, and passive is something that people really got to think about. Kyle, just off on a tangent, and I can go into it if you can't discuss it, but I do know, here's the one big tip that I always hear you talking about, is that people, they think, I got my single-family home, and my rent is $5,000 a month. But it's like Paul Harvey on the talk radio guy back in the day. He said, but what's the rest of the story? And I think for you, the thing that you mention is net. Oh, and one more thing, net. After you back out everything. Let's talk about everything. What do you back out of the gross rent to get the net? Maybe we take turns. Nobody can repeat. Go, Adrienne.
A mortgage.
General excise tax.
Insurance.
Property tax.
Property management fees.
Maintenance and upgrades.
Putting some aside for reserve for when the refrigerator blows up.
Vacancies.
Yeah. So once you, and then a couple of those are like, it just depends kind of situations, but what we call fixed expenses that you're going to have every month is going to be your property taxes, your insurance, your mortgage. And so it's net, and 5,000 can really quickly turn into a positive net of $1,500 to $1,000. So,
and then Kyle will, do those numbers and compare it to what you could get in a DST. Yeah. And then, if you're just truly an investor and you want to look numbers to numbers, Kyle will show you, like a clear path, which is going to make the most sense.
Yeah. If some,
let's talk about this one, the retirement.
Go ahead.
Kyle, if someone's planning for retirement, should they do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA?
Yeah. What's the difference between the two?
Ooh, that really depends. Because the difference between the two is a traditional IRA, similar to a 401k or a SEP IRA, is you put the money in without paying any taxes. So you're deferring all the taxes on both what you put in and all the earnings. And when you withdraw it after 59.5, then you pay taxes on every single penny that went in there.
Yeah, and then and good stuff here, Kyle. But before, it's like you went into a theater, then all of a sudden they went to a different movie.
But I have a follow-up question, though, on these IRAs, because I know a lot of people have an IRA. Not many people have the DST. With these IRAs, they can also purchase property. Can these IRAs qualify to be an owner in the DST?
Yeah, there's the tie back.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you use your IRA? Yeah, can you do that?
Because I know we actually have a client that owns a property in his IRA, and that was our
with the self-directed IRA.
Yes, self-directed IRA.
But can self-directed IRAs buy one DST?
They could. Self-directed IRA can buy any type of investment. Yet, I think people should look at the pros and cons of earning certain asset classes in certain types of holding vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of benefits to owning real estate personally in your name or in your trust versus owning it in an IRA. You get some advantages up front, but you lose some advantages in the back end, like a step up in basis and things like that. So you really have to weigh the pros and cons.
Well, I think we'll table the IRA and all that stuff for the next show, and let's circle back.
That should be kind of complicated.
Let's make sure, before we go open up that Pandora's box and we don't have another hour and a half for our real estate show, why don't we really stick a fork in it and make sure it's done on the DST. Talk more about the DSTs. How about just talking about people that have come to you. I know there was a lady, her name was Lily. That's not her real name. I changed it. And we met her at one of you guys' events. And one of the things that struck me with what she said is that if she had known, she had investing in real estate her whole life. And what she told me was that if she had known about and she was a DST addict. She did 1 with you, and then she did 4 more or something.
She's like, I got to just DST all of my homes. She was like, this is amazing.
But I think what she said was that if I'd known about this way back in the day, I would have just done this a long time ago and done it to all my properties instead of holding on to actual real estate. Talk about when people what does it look like? I'm going to call you up and I go, hey, Kyle, I got 6 houses over here on Oahu. I tired of replacing blown up refrigerators and dealing with stuck toilets on the weekend. What would be, besides the headaches, what is the process that you go through to give them that comparative knowledge so that they can make a decision?
Yes, usually I ask them, okay, well, how many properties? When did they buy it? How much did they buy it for? Did they do any capital improvements? So I can figure out what their cost basis is. Age of the property, so I can figure out if they've taken depreciation, and then hopefully their realtor is involved. They can give me an idea of what. Like Team Lally. Give me an idea on.
And Adrienne did one. And I done one.
What those properties could be. And looking for, okay, now what's your gross rent? Minus all those expenses we mentioned. What's the net? So now I'm comparing, okay, what is the return on investment? Then I do the comparison, okay, based on the DSTs and inventory, is there anything that could give them potentially higher income and higher appreciation in the long run?
So doing more income, more growth, and you're just comparing A to B, and whichever one is better, you should do.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that we did not mention, I'd like to mention it because we're talking about like depreciation and these tax write-offs by owning, the real property. You also get similar tax benefits by owning a DST, and you get that on your statements. And you send it to your CPA, and you get to do those depreciations. And if they do a cost segregation, you also get to take advantage of all those other tax benefits of owning commercial property.
Kyle, DSTs are like going to a happy hour, having 7 drinks, and then the next morning you don't have a hangover. Owning property directly, you're going to have hangover because of all the problems and stuff like that. The last thing, we only have a couple minutes, but if you can do it in a minute or two, talk about, there's two succession plans that everybody has for real estate and your kids. Mm-hmm. If they're rotten, you're going to leave them to the Humane Society, the property. If they're not rotten and you're keeping them in the will, what is the benefit of leaving them a DST? 1 or 2 or 3 benefits of leaving them a DST versus one townhome in Ainahaina?
Well, the leaving the property, in Ainahaina, we kind of look at it. Typically, if someone has 3 kids, right, more or less, they kind of fall into one of 3 categories. Is one wants to maybe keep the property, they know it's a good investment, or maybe they have an attachment to the property or the family home. They want the appreciation, the income, and they're willing to manage it. The second one just wants to sell it and cash out, right? And the third one wants to live there or is already living there.
So no consensus. That's it. No consensus. I will tell you firsthand, we see this all the time when we go for cell phone property. Mm-hmm. No consensus. What's another one? So with a DST, each individual child can do whatever they like.
Yeah, so when someone passes away, they'll get the step-up in basis, very same as any other real estate investment. And then each child can decide what to do with their fractional ownership in that DST. So the first one could say, you know what, I'm just going to hold on to the DST shares that mom or dad left to me. I'm going to keep collecting income, use that to do whatever I want. Child number 2 can say, I'm just going to wait till the DST sells. I'm going to take all those proceeds and buy my own place or whatever I want with the money. The only child that maybe is out of luck is the one that was planning to live somewhere rent-free because they're not able to go move into a DST. However, they could continue to keep that income and pay their rent or their mortgage, or they can cash out and buy something. So
sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, and Kyle, I will tell you firsthand, the sibling that wants to stay and live in it never, ever, ever, ever in the 20 years we've been doing this can afford to buy out the other siblings. We've never seen it. So Haley's Comet and siblings buying out the other ones. Once in every 75 years, maybe we'll see it. Well, we're coming to an end of another show.
Yes, and for our listeners that want to find out more about the DST, go to teamlally.com/DST.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening, and thank you to our sponsors.
Jody and Derek of Pacific Rim Mortgage.
Bradley of Allstate Insurance.
Kenji with Pillar to Post Home Inspection.
John with Kilauea Pest Control.
Duke with Hawaii Pacific Property Management.
Robinson Fine Line Paintworks.
MP with Estate Planning Group.
Jason Wu, Attorney at Law.
Rhino with Hawaii Unified.
Janice of Dreamhouse Drafting.
Fabio with Hawaii Water Damage Restoration.
Kyle with Impact Wealth.
Brian with Cleanscape LLC. If you want to get a hold of any of our sponsors, all you got to do is go to teamlally.com.
We also want to give a big thank you to Leah Rodriguez, our producer here in the studio.
And Sheen Belair, our producer, back behind the scenes. Chee-hoo!
Make sure to tune in next week. We'll have an awesome guest talking about something that'll change your life
forever. This is the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the guaranteed
sold program. If we can't sell your home at the agreed upon price and our time frame, we'll have it bought for cash. Thanks and aloha.
The preceding program was sponsored by Team Lally.